am Natasha, and I'm going to tell you a few tools or belief systems or different ways in order to possibly change the way you think and take action, because it always starts with a thought and then it plays out into an action later, and possibly incorporating things from what we learned from astrology, energy, faith, belief systems, but creating our own unique belief system in order to promote change or a better life, either in this lifetime or the next, if you believe in that. So, incorporating a few belief systems from Buddhism, just the general idea of reincarnation, if that actually exists. For me personally, I feel like it is a very possible reality that reincarnation exists. None of us can actually prove it unless you've actually died and come back, or almost died and come back. Maybe multiple belief systems exist simultaneously because, the world and the universe are just so great. But in order, not like in order, but it kind of helps promote better decision making and ways of thinking if you kind of take this consideration as a possibility. So I'm going to kind of give a few tips from that. So if you believe in reincarnation, the general principle can be, if you ever heard of it like this before, is that the more good that you do in this lifetime, hopefully the better life situation you'll be born into in the next. And everything is like energy, like rebalancing the scales, karma, dharma. That's like more of an Indian, Hindu belief, because Buddhism actually came from India. But we all have kind of good karma and bad karma that we've collected from past lives and this life. And sometimes those debts are repaid, right away or during our lifetime, or sometimes they're not able to be fulfilled and they go into the next. We kind of believed or imagined that this is actually true, like everything that we do or learn and overcome on a personal scale. Okay, everyone has their own personal challenges and restrictions and karma to play out. If we actually try to better ourselves, accept what our personal situation is, and try to improve them, not like self-defeat or give up or maybe have a chip on our shoulder and act out in a negative way, which can be a very normal human response. We can sometimes possibly alter those thoughts and behaviors in a better manifestation. If there was thoughts of my actions and non-actions that I make today on a day-to-day basis in this lifetime can possibly continue in the next lifetime in a different body, in a different environment, in a different, childhood upbringing, whatever. So thinking this way and possibly believing it, would it incline you to make better decisions? Because there's going to be a flip side or a consequence or cause and effect that may or may not play out in this lifetime. And if it doesn't, is there that possibility that, I might be reborn into a situation that is the same thing, so it's reliving the same thing over and over again? Or can we improve and grow? We believe that our souls can grow and evolve as a spiritual being. Maybe we can have more influence in this area, that our actions today matter just for ourselves. It doesn't have to be for anyone else. It's just like, if you want to have a better childhood upbringing, if you don't want to have like a negative anything, it could be not having food at home, growing up in a very impoverished home, or abusive, neglectful, unloving. Um, you have to work really, really hard. It can be a numerous amount of things. Anything in this lifetime that we may not really like, or we struggled with severely, or traumatized us in this lifetime, instead of choosing to maybe act out on that in a negative way, possibly embrace it, try to heal from it, um, find reasoning in it. It's kind of like existential um, uh, theory or philosophy on trying to find meaning in this life of what we're trying to learn and heal and grow as a soul being. So, this way, in the next life, we can learn and grow in a different area instead of trying to repeat certain lessons from this lifetime that we didn't really understand or were aware of to correct. I'm gonna give like a few creative examples. One of them I've shown in a video before, and it's not like a creative example, but I did it for myself. It was just like I started eating every single grain of rice or pasta or whatever that was in front of me on my plate ever since I was a little kid, since maybe 8 years old. At first, it was because I was told it would, every single grain of rice that was left over would be a pimple on my face, but that didn't sound very realistic to me. But I started doing that with the notion of this kind of Buddhist concept because I was in Thailand at the time, visiting family, and it was more like, oh, if I try to eat everything on my plate, not be wasteful or overtake or throw away unnecessary amounts of food, then hopefully in the next lifetime I will always have food. It will never, I will not have to be deprived of food because I was so wasteful in this one, if that makes sense. So I'd always want to, it would be more of a prevention method, is like a belief system, even though like I don't know if this is going to do anything at all. It is just for myself. And the belief that in the next lifetime, I just hope that I'm not born into a family that forgets to feed me or neglects me or doesn't have money for food, or in a country where they're deprived of food. I would not want to be born in like a time period or country like North Koreans, where they're almost controlled with the extreme restriction of food or threats. Like, I'm trying to prevent being born into really terrible situations like that. I'm not saying that anyone going through that now or in the past, they did terrible things or, overdid it with food or anything. They were born into this lifetime innocent and unaware of whatever they went through terrible things for, I don't know what reason. Hopefully, none of these things ever have to repeat ever again. But it is just a belief system for yourself that you can create in order to be better. Kind of training your mind like a belief system of even working out and working out with weights that is uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like discomfort. It hurts, it's uncomfortable, it's strenuous. It's like, why would you do this to yourself? but it's with the mindset that going through a little bit of struggle and restriction or discipline, uh, practicing resiliency, that doing this on a day-to-day basis kind of helps train your mind and your body and your willpower, that you can go through something that is challenging and tough, but it is controlled by yourself, not, you know, by anyone else that's threatening. So that's why working out, not just working out casually, but actually pushing yourself, learning proper form, or if you're doing cardio, like actually exerting yourself for an extended period of time. If you're a beginner, it might be a shorter period of that kind of physical exertion where you're really uncomfortable and you're trying to push your limit of not quitting for like an extra 5 seconds. And then the next week, it might be pushing yourself for another 10 seconds. Or when you're starting out with weight, you really want to quit on the 8th or 10th rep, but your mind said to do 12, and you know you can do 12. Well, it's just pushing yourself to just stick with it and doing it. So training ourselves mentally to be like, just kind of suck it up and do it, even though you might not want to do it, but the effects and the results of it, you know, for yourself are going to be beneficial for you. It's not going to hurt you short term and long term. If you know these things and have thought it out for yourself, then it is something that you should try and practice. Now, if it's the short and long term results of whatever you come up with is going to be negative, put yourself into a negative situation, put your close friends and family into a negative situation, then obviously it's not the wisest thing to do. You need to think twice about it. But that's part of creating belief systems. That this is where kind of creating your own personal belief system for whatever situation you're going through, and thinking about it, thinking about the short and long term effects of it, and possibly if the consequences that happen in this lifetime it's not quite enough for you to actually change. I like throwing in that kind of spiritual belief or reincarnation of, hey, like I might not get caught, or I might not get that negative effect or whatever in this lifetime. So you might be tempted to go ahead and do it anyway, but in the next lifetime, it's going to come back to you. And play with this in all kinds of ways. It's just using your imagination. You can think of like cheating. Maybe you're completely innocent and good in this lifetime, but what if you did someone dirty in a past lifetime, and that's why it's playing out for you in this lifetime when you didn't do anything wrong? Maybe you did like a whole bunch of people dirty. Maybe it was a time period where you just felt like you needed to escape, or like females marrying 20, 30-year-old older males, or being just married off for the sake of financial wealth, but they didn't really want to be with that person at all and had multiple affairs behind that person's back and wasn't faithful. Now you owe baggage in this lifetime. Creative in this way can create meaning in life, or coping mechanisms for like accepting unfortunate things that are happening to you, and possibly you were completely innocent. None of these bad things, whatever they are, should have happened to you, you know, and like why. You might ask yourself, why did this happen? That's why looking into your astrological birth chart kind of can help create meaning in your life, or the possibility of certain things happen because the birth chart was created right when you were born, before any of these events or energies actually happened to you. So it's kind of mysterious in a way, and it's like, how did it kind of know me before I knew myself? Well, if none of these things help you in any way, you want traditional science and facts and theories, or go to traditional religion, um, other coping skills, journaling, writing, being creative, finding your own personal outlet. Everyone is going to be unique and different for how they process things, whether it's light or very heavy, and whether unfortunate events happen pretty often or hardly ever at all. So I like looking at astrology as everyone has their own path and purpose and struggles, in generations, go through these things as well. So it just helps create meaning, coping mechanisms, feeling heard through a kind of mystical thing, or whatever, the stars and the planets, that you can't really pinpoint a direct answer, because life is not like a math problem. Maybe you can put planetary speeds and stuff kind of like a math problem, but life is very multidimensional and very complicated. And if it is a tool that helps you make better decisions in life, or better thought processes to help therefore make better decisions, or give you more, influence to do that, then I think it's a great. So creating your own belief system that helps you cope, go through heavy energy every day. Create that belief system of like, hey, I have a problem. I have the hardest time trying to control or energetically dispensing this in a positive way instead of a negative way that is a cycle that just does myself and other people more and more harm. Maybe finding a belief system in your mind that can help you have more willpower, or channel that energy into something else, so that you can be born into a better life next time. I like them creating metaphors of heaven and hell. When you're in hell, time goes by really, really slow, and sometimes it's like repeating a trauma over and over and over again. And if you don't heal it in this lifetime, you're going to be reborn in the next with the same things, and then reborn into the one after that with the same thing, because you just weren't able to undo it. And maybe it takes time, but you need to create your own belief systems that kind of give you a stronger urge to make that change, because change is so uncomfortable and it's not easy. Think of some people who have anxiety. We can take like an example of, in order to make it relatable, people who have really compulsive, addictive behaviors that do harm to others and themselves. Pretend that, like, your worst subject in school, and no matter how hard you try, like, you can't quite get it right. And it's really, really hard. Even if you get a tutor, it's still really hard for you to get it right. It doesn't click for you. If you're really good at math and science, a lot of times these people might not be good at drawing or writing, thinking very, very creatively or expansive. Some people, or some people who are just really, really good intellectually, but think of sometimes these same people are not the most coordinated people. They have a really hard time dancing or finding the beat to a music. They can't just naturally go with the flow. I'm not saying these are the exact pairings, but pretend that whatever you suck at, whether it's an actual subject, art, dance, singing, um, creating art, or anything unique or something that is so brainiac and inventive and innovative, and you just can't seem to grasp it or do well with it, but in this world, everyone else is really good at it, but you're not. Kind of imagine that um, these issues are really hard, just as if whatever is hard for you is hard for you, and are you working on your weaknesses because maybe your weaknesses are just you're not forced to because it's accepted in the society and you can get away with it, but other people's weaknesses or traumas that happen to them when they're children, um, pretend like um, you're kind of traumatized or whatever, or whenever like public speaking is a big one, like even for me. Some people, their heartbeats just starts racing. You can't tell your heartbeat to not do that. It just happens. Or your hands get clammy when you're nervous. When you're nervous, you start speaking really fast and start stumbling a lot. These are those natural reactions from some kind of stimulus or whatever, and it's really hard to control it or stop it. It's just like, don't make your palms sweaty. Stop making your heart beat so fast, or stop stuttering, or slow down. Um, it's going to be a natural impulse for you, but it's socially acceptable. For some other people, um, it's a behavioral problem or a habit, or they experience something and now they have this compulsion to do it too, or it was always in their environment, so they see it as kind of normal. When anything bad happens, we can't take it back, or take an event back, take a trauma back. Sometimes take back what is said or how it's said or the tone of voice was said in the past, because some people didn't know there were other emotions going on, other frustrations, a lot of complicated stuff going on. So how do we now help resolve and take steps to just move forward and process in a healthier way? And I think one tool that is beneficial is training our own belief systems in our head on a day-to-day basis, whatever that is, and whatever is going to make you actually do them. So whatever works for you. I don't want to make this video too long. I can go on and on and on and on. But I like astrology in that way, creating your own philosophy in order to have a better life situation in the next, or better luck in a certain area where you didn't have luck in this lifetime in the next. So yeah, it's just creating your own thoughts and belief systems for yourself in order to be a better version of yourself, or a more healed version of yourself, and find acceptance and meaning to whatever kind of crap that you're going through. So yeah, that's it. My little philosophy and belief